Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm sorry I kind of sound bad. I'm not feeling great right now, but um, this is the next tutorial in our beginner tutorial list for Fusion 360, and today we are going to be making a little mug. The mug I chose to make is has the Buffalo Bills logo on it. You might also call it like the standing buffalo, but we're going to use a couple different tools today. We're going to use sweep to make this handle. We're going to use fillet to add these nice little rounds to the mug, and then we're going to use a new tool called emboss, which takes a two-dimensional sketch and projects it as a three-dimensional image on a rounded surface. Okay. I also changed up my visual style a little bit. So most of yours probably looks like this. If you don't want it to look like this, if this looks a little weird to you, sometimes I like to do just plain shaded. I think it looks good. It's good for like rendering a final design, but if you're in the work progress, generally visible edges is good because it helps you kind of understand what's going on a little bit more. But if you want it to look better, then you can do um, shaded only. Okay, so let's jump into it. So I'm going to start a new sketch on any plane. First thing first, I'm just going to make a center diameter circle that is 4 inches in diameter. Then I'm going to finish my sketch, and then I'm going to extrude that out by 6 inches. So right now we just have a 4x6 cylinder. Then I'm going to use a new tool. I'm going to use the shell tool. The shell tool is essentially going to make an opening on one side and then hollow it out so that it's thin like a mug. So I'm going to press on my shell tool up here in the modify tab. I'm going to click on the face of my cylinder, the flat face, and I'm going to give it a shell thickness of 0.25 inches. Okay. So you'll see it makes an opening on one side, but it's closed on the other. It just hollowed it out. And you can change your thickness right this setting right here. That's essentially how thick this wall is right here. Okay. So we got the main part done. Now, to use sweep, this is going to be a little bit of a process. Essentially, we have to draw a circle on this side face here, and then we have to make a perpendicular path for it to follow. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make something called a tangent work plane. So under construct, the third option down is tangent plane. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on my mug surface here, and then press OK. And you'll see a tangent basically means it barely brushes the edge. It touches this at an infinitesimally small point. Okay, that just makes it so it's nice and flat, so we can actually start a sketch on this surface. So I'm going to start a sketch on that work plane that we just made. Okay, and you'll see if I rotate my camera, this work plane is right on the edge of that cylinder, and that's exactly where we want it to be. Okay. Now I'm gonna make a little circle, and I'm gonna start right here, and I want to line this up in the middle, but you'll see it's not nothing is snapping to place. Okay, so you can either check snap and line up with this axis right here, but if yours isn't directly lined up with any axis, what you can do is I'm going to show you um, how to reference this geometry. Okay, so we're going to go create and then project slash include and then click on project. And I'm going to click on this top line of our cylinder and then press OK. See how this top line just turned purple? That means we can now reference it. So if I rotate my camera, see essentially what it did is it took this point and it turned it into a two-dimensional line that we can now reference. So if I want to find the midpoint of this, I'm going to take my line tool and I'm going to hover over that purple line till it snaps into place right at about the center. Then I'm going to click once, move my mouse down, click again to place, and now I've got just this line right here that I can use to reference my center point at any place. Okay. Now I'm going to create a center diameter circle on this line, pretty much anywhere I want. We'll do right there for fun, and I'll make it 1/2 inch in diameter. That looks a little thin. We'll do 0.75. There we go. And I'll finish my sketch. So if I rotate my camera, you'll see we have a circle right here on this face of my mug. Okay. Now, if I'm going to sweep this to make a handle, I need a sweeping path for it to follow. So I'm going to start a new sketch, and you'll see that this plane right here, okay, I think that's the y XY plane. This is the XY plane. This cuts right through the center of my mug, okay? If you are not able to find a plane that directly intersects your circle just because of where you drew it, just let me know. I'll show you how to make, essentially what you would do is you would make a tangent plane on this side, a tangent plane on this side, and then do a mid plane between those two planes to cut right down the middle. Okay, but for now, I'm just going to start a new sketch on the XY plane because that's right intersecting where we need to go. Okay, so if I rotate my camera, you'll see this plane cuts right down the middle of my mug. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to reference this geometry. So I'm going to go create, project, project, and then click on that face here. And then I don't think, since this is a rounded edge here, I don't think it's going to reference it. So, but it referenced the top and bottom. So I'm just going to draw a straight line from corner to corner. And now we've got a vertical line that lines up with the very edge that I can use as a reference here. Then I'm going to take my spline tool. I'm going to I got to project that center part of the circle. So I'm going to go create, project, project, and I'm going to click on the center point of that circle that we want to sweep. So now I can reference that too. Then I'm going to go fit point spline, and I'm going to use my spline tool to make the path that mug handle is going to follow. I'm going to line it up with the center point of my circle. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to give it kind of a cool shape. And I want it to go, okay, this is a really important piece here. I'm not going to line it up right there. I'm actually going to go a little bit in. So you'll see where I ended my spline, it doesn't lock up with my reference line. I actually go past it a little bit. And that's really important here, okay? And you'll see why in a second. Then I'm going to finish my sketch. And then I'm going to go to create and then sweep. And I'm going to sweep this circle along this path. And then I'm going to change cut to join in my dialog box. Okay. All right. And then I want this to go, can you go further? No. We'll press OK. All right, so we've got a little mug right there. Not looking too shabby. So again, you can change your mug handle. Now, if you want it perfectly to line up, it's actually a little bit more difficult than it seems. I'm just going to try something here. Since this is different than the last one I made, I'm just going to try filleting this here and seeing what happens. We'll take. Nah, fillet tool is not going to work. You'll see, because I got this little cutout right here, and that's just because of the angle that I drew this line at. And then this isn't perfectly lined up either. You'll see it's actually missing some stuff right here. And there is some stuff we can do to fill that in, but right now, since this is just a beginner tutorial, we're not really going to worry about it. Okay. So next we are going to add our little decal. So we're going to use another tangent plane. I'm going to go construct tangent plane, and I'm going to select the front surface of my bug and then press OK. Now I'm going to insert a canvas on here. So just like earlier when we traced a canvas in our beginner tutorials, we're going to place a canvas. And this time I'm going to use the Bill's logo right here. And I'm going to place it on that canvas we just made. And there's a bunch of tools right here that you can use to position all this stuff. So this arc right here will let you change the rotation. This little piece in the corner that looks like a piece of macaroni, you can use that to change your size. And then this piece in the middle is free movement. So I'm just going to size it down a little bit and then line it up to what looks good and then press enter. You'll see I've got a two-dimensional sketch right here. So now I need to trace this out, and then I'm going to emboss that tracing onto my mug. So I'm going to start a new sketch on that plane, and I'm just going to do a bad job here because we already know what it looks like on my other mug. So I'm just going to do a really shoddy job of outlining this just so you can get the idea. Okay. And see how that turned blue? That means that that's a sealed profile. So that's something I can work with a 3D modeling tool. Okay. So now that I've traced that, I'm going to go to create and then emboss. And I'm going to emboss this sketch profile onto this face. And then you can also adjust your thickness here using this arrow. And then you press OK. And then I'm just going to hide that canvas, and there we go. So we're almost done. We're just going to put the finishing touches on it right now. I don't know. Whoa. My mouse does that for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to set this current view as my front, just change my lighting. So now we're going to add some fillets here on the top and bottom, just to give it a little bit of character, make it look a little more real. And then I'm also going to change the color. Okay. So first I'm going to change the whole color of the mug, and then I'm going to change the color of the buffalo. So I'm going to highlight everything, go right click, appearance. And then I think it's under, is there ceramic? All right, we'll just do white. So, glossy plastic white. We'll click and drag it over and then close. All right, so now I want to change the color of this buffalo. So now rather than highlighting the whole thing, I'm just going to click on this face, right click, appearance. I'm going to search for red. Enamel glossy red, that looks good. And then I'm just going to do this piece right here too. All right, and that's pretty much it. So now if I'm just going to change my visual style to just shaded, doesn't look too bad. And that's going to do it for this tutorial.